Hi, so in the session of cloud computing today we'll discuss here about the cloud computing security. So security in cloud computing here is a major concern because a large of data is stored in the data center and a large of data is moved to the cloud and moved out of the cloud. So that means this cloud computing platform here is responsible for storing and exchanging a large amount of data. So security of the data here is a main concern. Now, as we know that we have certain encryption techniques which is used here for the data security. So the data in the cloud here should be stored in encrypted form. So that means the first thing here about the cloud computing security is that the data should be stored in encrypted form. Data should be stored in encrypted form here. After that, there should be a restricted access towards that database. That means to restrict the client from directly accessing the shared data, proxy and brokerage services should be applied here. That means to restrict the direct accessing of the shared data, proxy and your brokerage services should be employed to secure that data. So from this we can say that security here is a major concern and there are certain solution here is to implement the security in your cloud platform. So first of all we'll begin here with discussing about the security planning. So first of all what we have here is the security planning. Now, for planning the security for a cloud platform, one should need to analyze several attributes about the various resources here. So, we will first see here that what are the various resources, about what you should know, and then according to that, you have to plan the security measures for your cloud platform here. So, first of all, we should know that what resources are moving to the cloud, and we have to analyze its level of sensitivity to the risk. So, first of all, you have to select the resources which are moving the cloud here, and then you have to analyze its sensitivity to the risk here. Now, after that, there are various service models and the type of cloud. So, the consideration of those service models and the types of cloud is also an important issue in the planning of security because we have to employ the security parameters according to the type and according to the service model here because each of them will have different requirements as each of them are performing here a different function here. So, first of all, we can say that you have to consider the service model. You have to consider each of the service models like your infrastructure as a service or your platform as a service or your software as a service here. So these service models here also requires the consumer to be responsible for security at different levels. That means the security concern is concerned with the provider also, but as well as with the consumer also here. Now after that, you have to consider the type of cloud also, whether it is a public one, private one, or a hybrid one, right? Now after that, you have to understand the system of the cloud provider also. After these facts, selecting the resource, considering the service models, defining their boundaries, then implementing the security measures. After that, considering the type of cloud, public, private, or hybrid. Now the next step is that you have to understand the system of the cloud provider also. You have to go through the you have to understand the system of the cloud provider. That means under this, you have to see that how how the cloud provider is transferring the data. That means you have to check how data is transferred. You have to see how the data is transferred. Then you have to also consider, or you have to also know that where data is stored, where the data is stored, and then how to move data into the cloud. How to move data into the cloud. So you have to understand all of these systems. That means all of these factors regarding the cloud provider. Your first one, that how you have to transfer the data, then where it is stored, and then how to move the data into cloud. That means you have to employ all the security parameters to these factors also, considering about data transmission, then the data storage, this must be secured here, and then how the data is being moved into the cloud here. Now after the security planning, the next aspect which we have here is defining the security boundaries. Next is the security boundaries. Security boundaries. Now, there are particular service models which defines the boundaries between the responsibilities of the service providers and the consumers. So for this, defining the security boundaries, what we have CSA, which is the Cloud Security Alliance. We have CSA here, which is your Cloud Security Alliance. So this is basically a CSA. It's also called as CSA stack model. So it This model, the CSS stack model, basically defines the boundaries between each service model. That means like you have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and your software as a service. So it will here define the security boundaries, or simply we can say that the boundaries here between the service models, and it shows how the different units are related to each other here. So we will see the CSA stack model here. Now, first of all, you will have the SAAS security boundary here. So this has basically presentation, mobility, and the presentation platform here for the various applications. Presentation, mobility, and presentation platform. Presentation platform here. That means you have here the certain applications. The applications here which have like your data. Then we have the data, the metadata, and the content. After that, we will have the platform as a service boundary here. Then you will have the platform as a service boundary here. Now, this will also help provide like your in between the integration and the middleware. Then this platform as a service provides the application programming interface, the APIs. So like this is if this is the boundary here for software as a service, so it will have its own security measure. Then we will have here security measures regarding your platform as a service here. Now after that, we have here the infrastructure as a service. So this is here for your infrastructure as a service. So it will have its own boundary here. So that means this is providing this IaaS here is providing the facilities, the hardwares, and the core connectivity and delivery. So it will have here like your hardware abstraction, and this is here your core connectivity and delivery with physical resources like this here. Now, as we can see that here, infrastructure as a service is the basic level of service. As you will move upwards, each service is inherited by more capabilities here and the security concerns here. So it will have like the least level of integrated functionality and integrated security. But if you just move towards the topmost layer, which is your software as a service, it will have an increased integrated services because this is a delivering platform here, and it will have the most it will require highly integrated security services here. So it is defining here the boundaries like for this, for your APIs, and then for your platform. So that means depending upon the each service models, you have the security measures are applied, and then which type of cloud it is. It's public, private, or hybrid. That is also taken into consideration here. Now, after this, we have some key mechanisms for protecting the data. Like your access control, auditing, authentication, and authorizing. So, since data in cloud here can be accessed from anywhere, because we have a distributed system here, so to protect the data, there should be a mechanism to isolate the data from the direct client access. So, to protect or to give this isolation from the direct client access, we have a system here which is called here as your brokered cloud storage access. Now, for a brokered cloud storage access, this is basically used for isolating the storage in cloud. It means for isolating the data so that the we can prevent the direct client access towards that shared data. So what happens? This brokered cloud storage here basically creates a broker and a proxy. It will create here broker and a proxy here. So this broker will have, or this broker is with full access to the storage, but no access to the client. That means within this will have the complete access to the storage, but no access to the client. And in a proxy with no access to storage, but access to both client and broker. So with this you have no access to to storage, but so when the client issues a request for the data, what happens? What is the scenario? We will see that how with this brokerage data access system, this how we can access the data. Now you have proxy and broker. And this is the cloud storage here. So what happens? It starts from this step. Client sends a request here. After that, it apply rules, and it restates the requests. Then modified data request is sent to the cloud storage. Now the storage data will here reply. Storage data reply. After that, again it will go to the proxy. And then at the last step, what happens? The data is responded. From here we have the response to the request through the internet here. So that means the client data request goes to the, first of all, it goes to the proxy's external service interface. The request will be forwarded to the proxy's external interface here. After that, in the second step, proxy will forward the request to the broker here. Now, this broker request data will be forwarded to the cloud storage system. Now, after that, when cloud storage system will receive this request, it will return that to the broker. The broker returns data to the proxy, and then finally the data is sent to the client here. So that means we have here involved the access with the help of proxy and brokers. We are not providing here the direct access to the cloud storage. First of all, you can communicate with the proxy. Proxy doesn't have any access to the storage here, but broker has an access to the cloud storage. So these two will communicate here, and only then after the series of the steps, the data is forwarded to the client, finally to the client here. So this is how we can isolate here the storage here, or we can say that we can prevent the direct access of this shared data here. So here we have just studied about the cloud security, that how you can secure the data storage in your cloud system. So this was all here for today's class. Thank you so much.